One of the things I hear from constituents is the quality of life is being threatened, of course, by the criminal element in our society. And if you talk to the local police, they say repeat offenders are the big reason. They meet the same people back out on the streets. Some of those people out on the streets that they meet for minor crimes really have been engaged in major crimes. So the first thing we tried to do was do a DNA database bill so that we get cold hits. This will be the biggest thing that we can do to break the back of violent crime here in South Carolina. We're hopeful we can get it through the General Assembly, pass the governor if he decides to veto it, and put it into law for your safety. But two other things that we really need to do in this session, and we're trying to get those bills through. Repeat offenders, they're out 2, 4, and 6 times on bonds. They know the system. They know it'll take about 2 years to get them to trial, and they own multiple bonds out there, multiple crimes. So what happens is the criminal element doesn't get behind bars and you're not protected. So what we want to do is to say that if you are already out on bond and arrested for another violent crime or an act of violence against someone, that the judge can refuse your bond. That way they won't be out on multiple bonds piling up crimes while they're waiting on their time. Plain and simple, makes good common sense, and we're going to do our best to make sure we get that particular reform through. But at the same time, we got the problem of people who are put out on parole. They don't finish their sentence, they get out on parole. Common sense is that the condition of that parole should be good behavior. The only way to check on good behavior is if the police and the parole officials have the ability to do a warrantless check, and that is to make sure the person's not fooling around with drugs, doesn't have guns, isn't in a criminal element, has stayed away from the people that are conditions of that. It's just good common sense, but unfortunately common sense right now is blocked by technicalities in the law. So what we want to do is give these people the power to do a warrantless search and make a condition of a parole that they are subject to a warrantless search. That way, again, we can break the back of the repeat offender or the repetition that occurs in the criminal element. These are common sense approaches. We need to add 3 more judges so we can get these cases faster up to trial. That's another thing we can do. But it all comes down to your safety at home, in your person, in your property, and in your liberty. And the government should be on the front line of defending that. And that's why we've made these proposals and will continue to push them here in Columbia. For years, it's just bothered me to watch some of the victims of crime, particularly in the murders, have to come up here, their families, and sit here for tables and plead with parole boards not to turn these people back out. And of course, I'm a strong believer that the people that are convicted of murder should not walk out of the state's prisons until the victims can walk out of the cemeteries. Equally, those who are going to commit violent crimes, we need to make sure we have the tools to protect you. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to do here. I'd be interested in knowing what you think, and are there other things that we need to do in this area to make sure that your community is safe. We're going to protect people's rights, but we're also going to protect the public.